Graphic design? Can you make a living at that?
Three, two, one, fun, 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 fun.
Welcome to Design Futures, a show about what happens after design school. I'm Chris St. Cyr, and my guest on this episode is Nael Uppal. How you been?
I've been good. Yeah.
You been good?
How are you? Yeah.
I'm good. Nael is a technical UI designer at Revolving Games, where he is currently working on projects with NBC, Universal Studios, and Gala Games. Additionally, he worked on the Battlestar Galactica game for the mobile platform. Previously, he has worked for Spartans Global, Hapa Studios, and BBDO Pakistan. And he's sort of a 2018 graduate of the College of St. Rose. Sort of. Okay, let's explain that for people.
They have a word for it now. It's called a sandwich degree. Yeah, I didn't know I was doing that back then. Yeah, I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's pretty much what happened. Yeah, and it's accepted now. So I did 2 years in Pakistan at the National College of Arts, and by third year I transferred out, went to the College of St. Rose, did the second year and the third year. It's sophomore and junior year, right?
Right.
That from College of St. Rose, and then came back. I took a gap year in which I worked for a year, and then went back to National College of Arts in Pakistan to complete my fourth year.
And you got
overall, it was a long trip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long trip. Sure. You got a BFA from your college. Is that right? Your college?
Yeah.
Your university in Pakistan.
Yeah, it is a Bachelor of Design, it's called now.
Okay.
When I started college, it was a BFA. When I ended it, it was called a Bachelor of Design.
Yeah, you mentioned a gap year somewhere in there. What were you working on during that time? Designing?
Well, yeah, designing. So I work for a studio called Hapa Studios.
Okay.
It's a great studio like that, very like a small scale studio, not an agency, just a studio.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing that I kind of learned over there, that okay, agencies and studios differ also. But started working for them, and it was a great learning opportunity. Got to meet a lot of clients and things like that. I worked for like one of my main clients was a furniture company. They were a furniture retailer, so they would get a lot of furniture from abroad and things like that, and they wanted to showcase that. So it gave me a lot of opportunities to make videos and take pictures and things like that. Of course, I work with a team in the studio, so most of the pictures being taken were by the photographers in-house and videographers in-house. It was really nice to make, like, it is a luxury brand like that, so it was a high-end brand. So I did really like neat, clean, elegant work with videos and things like that. Then I started designing their brochures and their catalogs, and then slowly and steadily took over a lot of things in their company. And I designed systems around that so that, if some other designer walks in, they can use templates and things that were already made.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I really they set up a new store in another city and asked me to do the signage for that, and that also was a really great experience. So that was a really, like, everything wrapped up into one kind of design experience that I had for 1 year, and I thought it was really important that it did happen after, like, just before my final year. So it gave me a lot of information.
So it sounds like you did a lot of interesting work and you were engaged with it. So why go back to school?
Why go back to school?
Why finish the degree if you only have one more year? And I say that I'm an educator, right? So, but if you're already having success, like, does the degree matter so much?
How PC do I need to be for this podcast?
You tell it like it is. That's what people want to hear. That's what the students want to hear.
That's a very American question, to be asked. We can't. We live in Pakistan.
Wait a minute.
We
What?
have brown parents. We have brown parents. They're like, no.
So what are you saying? Brown parents
Yeah.
require degrees? Is that it?
Oh yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
My mom was on my case. She was like, "What are you doing? Why can't you finish? Why can't you do this for college for 1 year and just get done with it? Things like that."
There are some parents everywhere that
Yeah,
probably feel that
yeah,
way. Yeah. I
yeah. And
understand.
then it's just a social construct and pressure, coming from like cultural things. Not talking bad about my own culture. I mean, I love my culture and everything. That's kind of how it goes. Values are different, so people
Sure.
who want they look at you different. So I would be a kid right now. A 32-year-old guy is a kid if he doesn't have a college degree,
I
or
see.
if he isn't married, he's not settled down. Things like
Right.
that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we there are social pressure and social norms like that in the society over here. Plus, it kind of, I wasn't really eager to, start paying taxes and get a job and stuff like that. I
Being an
wanted to put
adult.
it on. Yeah, exactly. And those are some pretty hard decisions you gotta make.
Yeah, school give you a little bit more time to mature, maybe and figure things out.
Till a point. I mean, I've seen some people who really, who have the talent and everything, but choose to stay in school extra longer. They'll, miss classes and stuff on purpose to
Yeah.
stay in that school. But I mean, in a 4-year degree, by the time you graduate, whatever you were studying is obsolete or
Yeah.
yesterday's news, So
Yeah.
imagine taking longer to graduate now. That would, I totally say that a lot of information comes through working,
Mhm.
on the job is completely different. And you can, so I've trained a few people on the job actually. So that really is a whole nother interesting perspective, because it's teaching, but it's not in school. It's like they're getting paid to learn. So
Right.
I can be tough,
Right.
but then I'm tough in a hilarious way. So yeah, I make sure that they're laughing.
Since you went to college, university in two different parts of the world, were they very different in some ways, similar in other ways? Like what can you
It
say about the
was,
two experiences?
yeah. So I went to two different colleges in two different countries in on two different continents, and might as well have been two different worlds, So it's Pakistan and it's the United States of America. And there is a lot of influence going in between both ways, also cultural influences and pop culture influences and things like that. So I feel like I grew up on American media most of my life, even being in Pakistan. That's like we used to get HBO, we used to get cable, we used to get, Cartoon Network and I've grown up on those kind of things.
Yeah.
So my mom, who used to so my family has been traveling and stuff, so I have been exposed since I was a young child. But the difference between the two colleges was really interesting because they were very different perspectives. And I would say that having the experience of both colleges helped me understand each college as
Sure.
well, because there was something to compare to it. Because when I started at National College of Arts, I didn't really have anything to compare to, which wasn't an art college,
Mhm.
So when I went to St. Rose, obviously I was coming from a different college, so everything was different. The course was more or less the same, but it
Mhm.
was being taught in such a different way. Practices were different, the just what you would get graded on would be different. People in Pakistan never really cared about filing or if a person had used Photoshop or some other software, they would say that, okay, this is the standard, but they were never going to ask you for your file. They didn't ask me
Mhm.
for my file for my thesis even,
Okay.
so Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of
Uh,
that. You better have good
but
files when you come out of school.
I did, and I mean, so yeah, my time at St. Rose, like that was, you guys, I would get penalized in my grade for not filing everything properly, and you guys taught me that. That was pretty insane. And at that point, I thought, okay, we just have to be anal as designers, maybe. And I started doing it, but then in the long run, you realize that you just made your life easier.
Right.
Like 10,
Yeah.
10 times. You don't have to look for anything. Know exactly where it is.
No.
Oh, yeah, work wise, I mean, if I'm getting paid for something, it better be organized. But yeah, I pride myself on my filing system now.
No.
And so that's really not a trend in Pakistan at all. So people really don't care about their filing. Uh, People just go to a printer, and so that was something really different. Over here, the printer is expected to do it for you. In the States, the printer was like, okay, this is how you work the machine.
Right.
You do it,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that was intense. That was a learning curve. So now, in hindsight, now I know how to print, so I can tell a printer over here that he's not doing it right because there's nothing wrong with my design. You know, he's just not getting it right.
Yeah. And over here, let's I didn't I forgot to ask you earlier, but where in Pakistan are you right now? Where are you
I
located?
am I am located in a ancient city called Lahore.
Lahore.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, has existed pre-partition, so it predates Pakistan itself.
Okay.
It's been here since the Mughal era. It's along the Silk Route, I believe, kind of, or close but offshoot of there. But
Okay.
travelers would come to Lahore before they would go to Delhi in
Okay.
India,
And
which was a major city. Yeah.
yeah, can you explain what a partition means? What does that mean in the history of Pakistan?
In the history of Pakistan, so we, like a lot of the world, were colonized by the British,
Mm.
you know, at one point or the other.
Yep.
So, so
States included.
when exactly,
Yeah.
so they, in 1947, I believe, if my history is correct. Yeah, so during that time, the British were leaving, and we kind of partitioned between a country for Hindus, and which would be India, and a country for the minorities of India, which would be Pakistan.
Okay.
Soon after, it became like the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
And how far are you from the capital? Islamabad is the capital. Uh,
Yeah, Islamabad is the capital. I am about 5 to 6 hours, five
okay.
hours by highway here,
Yeah.
away from the capital. Um, that's a really beautiful city. It's rated as one of the most beautiful capitals in the world.
And did you
Yeah,
in I thought you mentioned that you were one of your jobs or more than one, you were working there at some point?
this is about 4 years ago that I got a job there in a game studio. I had some game experience before that, working in quality assurance for a game studio, and working, like, I had developed an interest in digital art as well. So
Mhm.
they hired me based on my experience as a designer, as a graphic designer, based on my experience, of going abroad, and also on basically the fact that I got a distinction when I graduated. So they were willing to pay me quite a bit to move to a different city, and I was willing at the time. At the time, actually, I wanted to get away because for the first time in my life, I was also fired. So that was, a little dip that I didn't see coming, but rode that all the way to a different city
Yeah.
and decided that, okay, let's try this out. It was pretty much what I had expected. It wasn't very challenging. The challenge was basically the people and the adjustment I was facing personally.
Mhm.
It wasn't the work as much.
And so what
So,
was that like? Like just working for a company that really wasn't it didn't have the same expectations, it sounded like, as you did.
well, my main problem was that they were saying something and doing the opposite.
Okay.
So they would motivate their employees by doing a lot of superficial things, like giving out. I don't know what this trend is that people in companies, especially the IT sector, they love giving out t-shirts and mugs and bottles and things with their logos slapped on them,
Yeah.
having like company events that let's go out and stuff our faces at a fancy restaurant. They love making a big show out of it. It's like a big production. Where's the word? Because they'll have award ceremonies and give each other awards in house. What? Unless you're like a Fortune 500 company or something like that, that would make sense. If Apple does it, that would make sense. But like if Google does it, that would make sense. But what? You're like a 200-person company. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
So right now you're at Revolving Games. Your job title is technical UI designer. What is a technical UI designer as opposed to UI designer? Like, is there any difference, or is that just like your company and the title? Or
No, this isn't a company title like that. Like what I do is the definition, like defines what a technical UI designer does. So you have in the game studio, in large game studios, you have everything is there's a pipeline and there are a lot of people involved in that pipeline. It's a whole team that makes the game. For an artist, say that they make like a figure, a model of a person, a character, and the way it's going to be used is that character is going to be chopped up. Some places it's going to be just his head, as a mugshot. Some places it's going to be the whole character. Some places it's going to be like just half the character. Some places, we need a hand, things like that. So they don't exactly know where this artwork is going to end up. They just get a brief. That's what they create. And then it gets chopped up, dissected, used here and there. So there are a lot of parts to this. So a UI artist, basically, we all come under the UI department. You have game designers who write the game down. Designers over there is kind of misleading. I feel like they should be called writers. They're not. They're called game designers. Then their work goes through the UX department, which comes up with wireframes, come up with solutions of how things should be placed according in the grand scheme of things, how the user should flow through the game through one panel with one objective to the end. Then the UI department takes it over and reskins it according to the updated UI. If we need to create new visual assets, visual elements, we do that there during this process. We sync up with the UX department and the game designers a lot. So there are two main steps, two phases of UI. One is the creation, which is the creative part. It's kind of pretty work. You get to do a lot of new things, have fun while doing it. And then the phase two is, will it work? How do we put it into the game? Figuring out how to take that artwork, chop it up, what's the best, most efficient way to put it in, how it will end up doing what it does. If it's going to animate, how is it going to animate? If it has a little sparkly effect, what kind of sparkly effect, all of that. So during the creative process, which is phase one, a lot of UI artists, decide to just start off like as if as a metaphor, I would say, with a pen and paper, using nothing that they have seen before. They want to just start with sketching and things like that. And they come up with brilliant things that we don't want to change even. But where we can use an existing asset, we kind of pull them back. Where their artwork kind of is mind blowing and we want to include that, we decide how to make it efficient, ask them if they can tweak it a little bit, cut it up, maybe see how we can deliver it in the most effective way to the department that comes after us, which is engineers, the software engineers, because they're going to essentially reassemble all the artwork within the game engine. And that's going to, it's going to take its time, but they need to do it very effectively also. So I have to translate between the design softwares and a game engine a lot of the time. So a lot of things do funnel through me. And that's why I've been given minions now also to take over workload
Yeah.
because the lead UI artist is a concept artist, so he will make concept UIs most of the time, and I will make them functional, use assets that can be used that we already have in our library, or insert new ones, you know.
So you're working for Revolving Games. Is that all mobile games you work on?
It is the web-based platforms and
Okay.
mobile games. Yeah, we are working on our Battlestar Galactica game. We have worked on really nice games before that I cannot mention, and the work has been amazing. Honestly speaking, I am really proud of the work coming out of Pakistan. But
So
right now, this is a multinational company, so we are based out of California,
yeah, that's what I was going to
Vancouver,
ask you.
and so on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you have people that you interact with on a fairly regular basis in California or other parts of the world, different time zones?
Yeah, different time zones. Oof. Yeah. Because we have a lot of remote workers also. Like this time yesterday, I had a meeting with where there were people from London, Vancouver, California. Yeah. There are multiple people working on the same game together, you know, in different time zones.
Do you play the
I
games you
do
work
play the
on?
games, yeah. I
Yeah.
do play them because, well, I don't feel like I play them. I study them
Okay.
again and again. You know, that's what it
Yeah.
is. Like I do look at them, I test them out. My first job was in the games studio industry, in which I was working in quality assurance. So my technical title was like creative game analyst. So that sounds fancy. All I was required to do was play the game again and again,
That's a
which
job?
sounds awesome. That's a job. Yeah, I got paid for that. That sounds awesome. You know what? You're playing the same game, same level again and again and again for
Yeah.
months.
Now it
For
sounds boring.
months. You have to check everything. You have to make a list and check all
Yeah.
those boxes. Yeah, this is working. Yeah, this is working. Yeah, this is working. No, this is not working. Ha, caught a bug. Yay. Okay, that's it.
All right,
Sorry.
let's do something fun. Let's look at your portfolio. So there's some things on here though. Before we take a look at a couple though, we were talking earlier about you can't show work, and I've had other alumni talk about the areas of design they work in, and they can't show work because of an NDA, like
Yeah.
non-disclosure agreement. So we can't see any work from maybe some games you've worked on, but um like the design meets kitchen, is this one that you were referring to earlier about
Yeah.
the architecture and things
Yeah, pretty
and
much this was video
photography
work
and
for
video?
them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I'll just turn down the volume and you can talk over it.
Yeah, so this was a great opportunity because of a little mishap actually, where the copywriter basically, you know, left me high and dry over here. So I came
Great.
up with the copy for it. I came up with the shots, I art directed. So a really fun thing. My client came up to me with a video reference from IKEA, having come straight from like the States. I was like, you realize that IKEA is like an everyday average Joe brand. Anybody can go there, you know, it's affordable. You're not affordable, you're not basic, you know, you're a luxury brand, act like it.
Yeah.
So I made them a storyboard and I pitched this idea for this video. They loved it and they said, do it.
Great.
And I took
Yeah.
my team and that's what I came up with.
And then this one here, is this right? This is your thesis project from when you finished up
Yeah,
in Pakistan. So what was this one?
exactly.
Black.
Black is a coffee shop. That it's a fictitious coffee shop that I designed for my thesis. It was to promote minimalism and efficiency. Like the grand scheme of things, conceptually, my thesis was about efficiency.
Mhm.
So I took on minimalism because I see it as being efficient design, and designed a coffee shop around it because people in major cities, I'm not talking about the masses, but any middle class and above would love to sit in coffee shops. They do that a lot of the time. And it's not a day thing or a morning thing. It's not a necessity thing. It's just lounging thing. So, so in America, there were coffee shops, and you used to walk in, grab your coffee, grab a bagel with egg and cheese, and walk out, get to class. Over here, no, people are like skipping class to like sit there and take their time, drinking their coffee, talking to each other, and smoking their cigarettes and whatnot. So I was like designing this in mind. So I wanted people to get in, get out of a coffee shop and see, because that's a new concept to this place, in my current environment. Grab your coffee, go about your day. Revolving around that entire concept, the entire theme of the coffee shop, black itself, like that's, you walk into a coffee shop, instead of, oh, which roast do you have or what size you want, anything, I just want black coffee. That's it.
That's it. You get one
That's it.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about this
Conceptually.
one. I don't often bring up my own former student projects, but I do. I thought your magazine project that we worked on together was interesting just because it wasn't the
I love this project.
it wasn't the very stereotypical kind of visuals of tattooing, like tattoo graphics and art. Again,
Yeah.
you had this kind of minimal aesthetic to this kind of tattoo. And I don't think I'd really seen this kind of tattooing before. Did you know about this before this project, or did you just like find it as part of the research?
I mean, I had seen something about like bold tattoos and things like that, but I didn't know what it was called. When I did the research, I came across it and I learned more about it. They were called blackout tattoos, I believe. They were really like, tattoo is a form of ornamentation, if nothing else, a
Right.
little thing on your skin. It can be personal, it can be just for the heck of it, but it's ornamentation at the end of the day. And they took that and turned it into design rather than art, which kind of spoke to me, with my background and everything. I've been exposed to art a lot, but design was new to me, and it kind of blurred the lines, a lot of things. What's design and what's art? A lot of the time, anything can be art at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
a space can be art, and that's a space that's designed by an architect.
Yeah.
So what these three things, they keep revolving again and again throughout my life, because my dad was an architect, my mom was an artist, and
Mm.
I became a designer. And I don't know, felt like I could already do both of those things.
Mhm.
So that's partially why I decided to go towards design.
A lot of art and design in your life, it sounds like, obviously your career, but other family too. As a kid, like were you just like always going to museums or art or out in the environment? Like how when did like creativity, when do you remember creativity being like a part of your life?
Well, yeah, I was kind of born into it. I didn't realize it, well, because I was a kid, but like, yeah, my mom she was an art teacher. So she
Mhm.
would be taking her class to museums. And what do you do with like a 2-year-old when you're an art teacher who has to take a class of, I don't know, 12 to 20 kids of high school to a museum? You take
Right.
that 2-year-old with you because he's got nowhere to go. Obviously, a lot of knowledge did not come through at that point. It was just
Mhm.
visuals.
Sure.
So, I mean, my mom would be explaining to her class, and I would retain that knowledge. During all those formative years, I was a really good listener, and I was listening to everything that was being said. I was listening to when we were in museums. Yeah, that has been going on since I was a kid. And then during middle school, at one point, so I did O and A levels.
What is
They're
that?
they're British high school and a senior
Oh.
school. I don't know how it translates to the high school system. During that time, during my O levels, I did not take art for 3 years. And my mother was the
Mhm.
art teacher, and I signed up to take art, like take the exam for art. And my mom was like called into the office, and she she basically went into the office and she's like, "Why did you sign Niall up for art?" He's like, "Oh, he said he was gonna give the art exam." Like, but he doesn't take art. He's like, "Yeah, but he said he would be learning from you at home." And you just believed him? She's like, yeah, why would he lie? You're the art teacher. Sure, you're teaching your son at home. Makes sense. She's like, Nael, why did you sign up for art? I was like, I will probably not give chemistry because I don't like it. So I need to have a fallback. After all my exams, I sat with her for 2 weeks and I shocked her because she, for the first time, realized that unlike her previous students, unlike her star students, unlike my sister, even, I had patience for art, you know.
Patience for
So
art. That's great.
I got a B,
Nice.
I got a B. That was pretty nice. In A
Yeah.
levels, and I took it more seriously and I got an A. I took the class actually this time.
One thing I wanted to ask you too is, what are you doing when you're not doing all of this art stuff and design? You know, when you're not working, what are you doing to just hang out and chill out? You were talking earlier about you're a new uncle, so that's probably taking part of your time, your sort of your downtime. Is that fun, or does that just create more stress in your life, being an uncle?
It's really fun with him.
Yeah.
It's when other people are around that other people stress me out when they're trying
Oh.
to take care of him.
So you're having fun with your new nephew, spoiling him. You were saying earlier, well, last time we
Oh
talked,
yeah.
you bought him some car or something, some little electric car or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, he's got a teeny tiny little Lamborghini that he can ride around in. Yeah, yeah. It
That's
it,
oh,
it it's its doors open upwards also. It's pretty cool.
oh
Yeah. And it
wow.
and
That
it
is
has like
cool.
one of those hydraulic kind of thingies,
Yeah,
like a lowrider. I'd love spoiling him purely because I don't have to, unspoil him.
exactly. You don't have
That's
to
for his.
you
I
don't have
don't
to
have
reprimand him.
discipline.
Yeah. When you're
Like
not doing that though, like what do you do for yourself?
I like playing games.
Yeah.
So I do play quite a few games when I have the time. That's the saddest part as an adult.
What game do you play?
Oh, so many years. So I've been playing like this Hogwarts Legacy came out recently. That's the game I played recently.
Mm. What else? Anything else? You go outside?
Yeah, sad thing that my dog passed away last
Oh,
week,
sorry to hear
but
that.
thanks. But like I was taking him out a lot.
Mm,
So yeah, I would go out with my dog. I would take him to a park or something like that, or go on our regular walks even.
yeah.
I go out, hang out with friends and things. That's always healthy, right?
Yeah.
That's what they tell me at least. So I make an effort to do that.
Okay, it's time to move on to the pop quiz.
Pop quiz, you hit me. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, first question in the pop quiz is sketchbook, blank or gridded?
Gridded.
You're designing games, elements of games all day long. What are you drinking at work? What's your work beverage? And don't
Coffee. I don't have a lot of tea at work because I want to be very alert. So coffee does that for me.
all right, after work beverage when you're out with your friends that you socialize with.
Beer, whiskey, yeah.
Albany or Lahore?
Albany, yeah.
Albany.
Well, Lahore also. I don't know. Hey, I can travel. Okay, I'm
Good answer. You can travel. So it depends on where you're traveling. Type or image?
Type.
Music. Do you listen to music while you're working?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you listening to?
Sometimes, yeah. Anything and everything almost would depends on the mood.
All right. Siri, Alexa, or Google?
Siri.
All right. Last question is, if you weren't a designer, what would you be?
A lawyer.
A lawyer? Seriously?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I realize that design and law is very similar. What is laws? If you look at a country as a brand, laws are the brand guides, brand
Oh,
manual, things
interesting.
like that. They're
Interesting.
just following the brand guides in that. And as designers, we create those all the
Ah.
time.
Do you have any final thoughts, any words of wisdom that you could pass
Wisdom.
on to aspiring designers?
I would say, I don't get disheartened a lot of the time because you're gonna face a lot of rejection as a designer, and it's part of your job. And don't get disheartened because there's always a version 2, version 3, version 4, So I don't feel like this is talked out about enough. Getting your design degree. That's just the first step. You can go in so many different directions after that. I fell in love with design because it kind of teaches you so much about every other little thing, any client, you know. I wouldn't know about furniture. I
Right.
wouldn't know about a lot of things if my clients hadn't, you know, shown up like that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
know a lot about games either had design not been my foundation.
Yeah, I hear that from other designers too, and I definitely I agree with that perspective. Like I really enjoy that part of being a designer because every new project at least you learn something new about the world, right? Or about some subject or
Yeah,
topic.
yeah. I mean, the sky's the limit with design. But yeah, the design is pretty amazing like that. It crosses boundaries, it blurs borders like
Yeah.
that. And it's a whole language on its own.
Hey, it was great to catch up. I don't know. You gonna be back in the States anytime?
Not sure. I
Yeah.
gotta conquer a few other places
Yeah,
first.
that's true. Well, keep in touch, all right? Let me know
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on in the gaming industry and design and all that. So,
I
okay,
gotta keep you up to date. Yeah.
definitely.
All right.
Great talking to you. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So, what do we learn from Niall? Well, number one, design systems matter. They matter to certainly the next person on the design team who is going to use them. Number two, take lots of notes. Definitely going to help you in your classes and on the job. And finally, be a really good listener. Whether you're a 2-year-old with your mom in the museum or a designer in the boardroom listening to a presentation, that listening skill will certainly help you out. Thanks to Nael Uppal of Revolving Games. If you have any comments or questions for me or any of the guests, please leave them in the comments. And subscribe so you can catch the next episode of Design Futures. Until next time, go learn something. Your future depends on it. Thanks for listening. See ya.